Chapter 127 to 128. Nergigante, a dragon that is rumored to have lived on this island in the past. Amon got this news from the underworld. He also got the news about the devil fruit from there. So after making 2 + 2 = 4, Amon assumed if the fruit actually existed, then it would be this one. Ancient Zoan, Ryu no Mi, model, Nergigante. A fruit from a game. It's not that big of a surprise that it's real in this world, to be honest. Amon pondered, while looking at the fight happening around the seashore from many kilometers in the sky. But where was the fruit in the canon timeline? Why didn't Ace or Jack take it in that timeline? The answer is simple. Amon made a thinking face. Jack proposed Ace the same offer as this, but in that timeline he didn't accept it. Only because he didn't have any knowledge of the fruit beforehand, because he didn't promise Deuce to take the fruit for him. Oh, why didn't he do it? Because Deuce didn't tell him about that since he didn't have any knowledge about it in that timeline. After all, his friend from the underworld didn't exist there. A grin formed on Amon's face. It's because I am his friend from the underworld. While wind fluttered his hair in the air, Amon kept looking at the fight with shining red eyes. Bam! Jack's trunk slammed on Deuce's body, throwing him a few meters away. But he managed to tune down the damage by flying up. However, since he was relatively new with his body, Deuce wasn't able to fly for long with his massive body and fell down. Bam! Jack struck him again, but Deuce was able to block it with his spiky wings. Ace was confused. Wasn't Deuce supposed to have the upper hand? At first, he did have the upper hand, but it all came down to battle experience and familiarity with the Zoan form not so long after. Deuce didn't have both. He was a doctor, not a fighter. Although he did have fighting powers, they were nothing compared to the experienced Jack. Bam! Jack spun his trunk like the wings of a helicopter and struck the Nergi. The dragon was thrown backward again. This time, even its flight ability wasn't of any help since Jack rushed forward without giving any time to recover. Deuce, hold on! I will help you soon! Ugh! Ace stumbled back while getting punched by Iagura. Ace and his crew were busy taking after Jack's subordinates. They were too strong for him and his crew. He didn't get a chance to help. It was clear who the winner of the match was based on this alone. Jack dashed towards Nergi Dragon, preparing a headbutt. Bam! However, Deuce was able to block it. Jack remarked, "So, this is the defense of a dragon?" He again rushed forward. Bam! Again he headbutted him. Bam! This went for a few minutes, while the inexperienced Deuce was forced to stay on defense. Bam! However, as the clock was spinning at 18 minutes, Deuce was bleeding a little. Unfortunately, he didn't have armament. Jack concentrated his armament on his horns and rushed forward again. This was his strongest headbutt. Bam! Deuce was hit right in his stomach as he coughed out blood and was forced to subside to his human form. That was a surprisingly strong defense, Jack commented, but you are too weak to utilize it fully. He then yelled, looking at his subordinates, "Everyone stop fighting. It is not a bad thing he ate the fruit. We will just take them under us." Everyone did as he said, while the injured Ace took long breaths. He looked at Ace. "You are the captain, right? We will give you a chance to live. Join us." After a short silence, he looked at the human Deuce. Their eyes met. Both of them grinned. Ace remarked, "In your dream, you elephant bastard, I will become the Pirate King." This line triggered Jack. His veins popped up. He just nodded. Pirate King? Good. Only Kaido will become Pirate King. He didn't care about Ace anyway. His only priority was Deuce, who ate the fruit. "Then you shall die." Jack, still in his mammoth form, dashed toward Ace. His horns pointed towards this chest. Oh, fuck. Ace cursed in his mind and imbued Haki in his chest. But he knew this was an impossible-to-block attack. He knew it, but still. He didn't give up. Chack! Jack's pointy horns penetrated the flesh. Blood spurted out, covering his face. However, cough, Ace! It wasn't Ace. Deuce! Why did you... It was masked Deuce who partially transformed into a dragon. It was his hybrid form. However, he couldn't even fully do it. Only his skin became dark. If he had enough time to spout the scales too, then maybe... Deuce, why did you do this? Maybe he would have lived. With a grim face, Jack took back his horns. He didn't expect this situation. This meant he just lost the dragon fruit. Kaido will be enraged! Flop! As Deuce's body got loosed from his horns, his body sloped down in the ground. Ace caught it. Blood trickled down from his lips. Ace, I am sorry. Deuce, why? Ace's eyes shook. He's only had one question. Why? But the question wasn't towards Deuce. He looked at Jack with glaring eyes. It was towards Jack. Why? Why, you bastard? With a burst of Ace's Conqueror's haki, 80% of people on the battlefield went unconscious. However, Jack was still there, his eyes wide. This kid, a king's candidate. Jack was shocked, but he knew this was too late. He won't come under Kaido, then there was only one way. I have to kill him. Now this is an unexpected development. Amon commented on the fight while floating in the air with crossed arms. He noticed a ship coming to the island from far. Oh, they are here. It was the ship of Sky Pirates. Amon came here flying a long time ago, waiting for Rio to come. Looks like he doesn't need to fight Jack. Ace will use his plot armor. Sss. Amon's body flickered. He was here when Ace got the fruit, so he knew which fruit it was. He went to the sky, took some fruit, and returned. All this happened in under 2 seconds. Amon's body flickered again. He went to a blind spot around the battlefield and kept the fruits there. His body flickered again, and he came back to his initial spot. Again, all this happened in under 2 seconds. Amon tilted his head, questioning something. Now, only thing to decide, do I give the fruit to Rio or the motor gang? It was a surprise that this fruit was even real. But it's a good fruit. Also, the fact that its biggest weakness is lightning, or at least what is known from the game MHW, the user of the fruit would be easy to control for Amon. Giving it to the motor gang would allow a special thing to happen, but there are some drawbacks like their personality and their weak body. Metal isn't really that strong for the humans of this world. Hard to decide. Amon just sighed and watched the fight. He won't let Ace die. He needs Ace to make the War of the Best happen. It is a necessary step to take for his influence to reach the peak of this world. Anyway, I assume this encounter led Ace and his crew to reach Wano in the canon timeline. They fought Jack after Ace refused to help, but plot armor saved their lives. Not this time around, though, since one already died. Amon needed Ace to reach Wano, so he would intervene if things seemed like it. Luckily, he already had Deuce's friend identity prepared for the worst. Oh, wait. I don't need to fight Jack. I will make Rio fight for me. It would be interesting. Amon tested Rio's strength. He was strong, but not strong enough to beat Jack. That means, let me see if he deserves the fruit or not. In the worst case, I will just kill him and take back the fruit. Here, eat this. Amon tossed a black devil fruit with silver zigzag encrypts on it towards Rio, who barely caught it. A devil fruit? He asked. Didn't you say I shouldn't eat one unless it's an emergency? This is an emergency. You are gonna fight Jack the Drought and then join the Beast's pirates after becoming a spy. Got it? Ancient Zoan, Ryu no Mi, model Nergigante. Amon sounded out lightly. You probably aren't aware of this dragon species, but it's powerful, that I will say. Reo, the person who was the recipient of his word, looked strangely excited. A dragon zone? Dragons are the strongest among the strongest. Eating this meant he will be stronger, many times stronger than now. That way he would be able to protect his people, sacrifice himself for them more efficiently. This was a great power boost, but what confused him was his other line. "But what do you mean by joining Beast's pirate?" Amon nodded at his question. "You want me to infiltrate Beast's pirate from inside?" "That should be the case. But..." Rio looked hesitant. "What about All-Star King? He looks like a... how should I put it? Evil Skypiean. 4 years ago, you were the one who said to be careful of All-Star King." This question made Amon laugh. "Meh, don't think too much of it. Back then, I was just paranoid. All-Star King isn't some kind of spiritual enemy of us or anything." After visiting the moon, Amon learned some secrets. Secrets about King's race. It wasn't anything special or supernatural. I will tell you about it on a later day. Now eat the fruit and go fight Jack. Help the Spade pirates. "Ah, okay," Amon continued. "Even if you don't win, Jack will ask you to join him. Accept it in the condition that he lets the Spade pirates live." Amon needed Ace to survive. He would then lead him to Wano and steal Odin's diary from Yamato, finally putting all the blame on Ace's shoulders. What will this cause? Kaido's participation in the War of the Best. Amon made a sadistic smile in his mind. This time, he won't let Shanks stop Kaido from going there. Okay, but Rio had one more question. "What will I answer if anyone asks me why I did this?" "In the case of Jack, just tell him you want a good fight. In the case of the Spade pirates, tell them Deuce's friend from the underworld asked you to help them. Add some more lines of your choice, just don't mess up." A short silence occurred, while Amon kept grinning. Rio understood everything and nodded. "Any more questions?" He shook his head. "No." He then looked at the fruit in his hand. "Then I will eat this." Masked Deuce was an orphan. He lived a life full of tragedy. Not expecting a turn for good, he tried doing criminal activities many times. Though he was captured and beaten by the people many times, he didn't give up. He didn't even think of changing his lifestyle, but he was satisfied with the result. He had some rules and followed them, so to many children and the elderly, he was a hero. Doing these criminal acts, one day he got into the underworld. In his time there, he one day met a benevolent man. The man's age was unknown to him since he always wore a mask and was dressed in black clothing. This benevolent man helped him, gave him new jobs, taught him about the world. So to him, the man was a figure who he never had, the figure of a father. 4 years ago, his father went missing without telling him. He assumed he must be busy, so he waited. While he was on the verge of believing the man left him for good, he returned. He explained he was in a critical situation and he will also be busy like this later on. Deuce was happy enough that he didn't leave him, so he apologized to him for doubting him. The man said this, "Since I will be busy from now on, you should try to enjoy your life. Become a free bird. Go be a pirate." That line triggered him. That's how his journey began. After hearing this from that man, he met Ace and started to travel together with him. That man was Amon. Ace's body shook with the body of Deuce on his arms. He had stopped breathing already. "Why, you bastard!" Ace screamed as his conqueror's haki leaked, knocking many people on the battlefield unconscious. "Keck! This kid!" Jack was shocked, seeing him use Conqueror's haki. In the end, he decided he was too dangerous to be left alive since he saw his companion's death. Jack, the mammoth, rushed towards Ace with his legs aiming at his puny head. Ace didn't even flinch seeing this. He didn't know why, but he felt like he could defeat him. Ace swung his fist towards Jack, making him shocked seeing black thunder swirling around it. That Ace punch left a purple-black lightning trail, just like Kaido-sama. He is coding his attack in Conqueror's haki. This was talent, the talent of Pirate King's son. He was someone who learned armament haki coding a week ago, yet he was able to achieve something like this, even though he was doing it subconsciously. Jack was suddenly alarmed. This attack would even hurt Kaido, so he couldn't be fine after receiving it. In this timeline, Blackbeard might need more effort to catch Ace. Reopov. The fruit tasted disgusting, but I was able to swallow it. I can feel the new power inside me. It's as if another being has entered my body. I can switch bodies with that being, thus granting me unimaginable power. Jaja. My thoughts were cut by the sound of sea waves. We were now close to the seashore. I can tell with my observation, Haki, that the mammoth has already noticed us. Time to transform. Ha! Hearing Ace's spiteful cry, Jack frowned. He was already too far to back off now. Jack raised his front leg and decided to block the attack with his forefoot. His bones should be strong enough to block this novice's attack. Jack's forefoot and Ace's glowing red fist clashed with each other. Bam! Boom! Jack didn't have Conqueror's Haki, but his armament was strong. He used it against Ace's punch. The steam had heated up to form a fire fist yet again. Crack! Jack's elephant forefoot cracked like glass. Blood dripped down, his face distorted, but he didn't fall back. Ha! Ace also used his other fist and punched forward. Jack stopped it with his other front foot. Bam! Another impact. The island shook. Ace surpassed his limit. However, Jack noticed something important. He is unconscious? Yes, Ace was unconscious, but he was still fighting. His crewmates and the few awake beasts pirates were shocked to their cores. But Jack saw this as an opportunity. He swung his trunk. Bam! Ace was hit from his left side and was flown meters away in a second. He was concentrating all his force on the front, so his side was weak. Jack took this chance. Ace fell meters away from the spot and laid down unconscious, his glowing fists returning to normal. Huff. What is his identity? Jack asked himself. In no way this was a normal pirate. It's better to kill him right here and now. Jack decided. He was a threat. He gave his forefoot a permanent injury. In anger, he walked towards the Ace, who was unconsciously lying on the ground. Looking down, he raised his leg to crush Ace's small skull under his leg. He jabbed his leg down, however. It was stopped by a black arm of a beast. This is enough. Hearing the deep voice, he looked at the culprit as his eyes grew. The look reminded him of the dragon he just killed. He instantly looked back where Deuce's body was kept. He was shocked seeing it still there. Then who was this? I have come to stop this fight. It was also a Nergigante, but he had a few changes in his body. He had 4 black wings instead of 2. In the name of my lord. It was Rio. Amon was surprised that Rio's dragon form granted him 4 wings. After all Star Kings still retained only 1 pair of wings upon his transformation. Being a half of wing human and half of that race, shouldn't King also retain 4 wings if Rio is doing so? It was something to think about, but without any way into it, Amon gave up thinking. Maybe because he isn't a pureblood? Or he just doesn't use 4 wings since his own body is small? Amon ignored the thoughts about King and Rio and focused on Ace. Amon was sitting in the borders of the volcano while eating snacks. He looked quite displeased. Ace, that fucker. His genes are too good. For years, Amon has been trying to coat Conqueror's Haki on his body as if armament, just like Kaido and Luffy did in Chapter 1010 manga, but he has been unsuccessful. Again, why? Always facing a border, Amon was a little angry, though it didn't matter. I can do better than that. I can coat armament in my lightning. That can be used as an alternative for this. To begin with, the effect of Conqueror's Haki coating made a trail of black lighting. Amon can just make his lightning become black using armament. It should have the same, or at least a similar effect, right? Fuck this. Amon threw his snacks in the volcano behind. Kaido said, even among the Supreme Kings, only a few chosen people can do that. So did that mean Amon wasn't chosen? Frankly, he didn't care. I need to train Conqueror's Haki more. It may be I don't have a talent for this like Luffy and Ace, but I will learn it. People say Conqueror's Haki is there from birth. One can't acquire it in any other way. Amon didn't believe that was the case. Amon knows the best Haki teacher, Rayleigh, who never said Conqueror's Haki can't be learned later on in life. This meant there is a high chance Kyoto's statement is wrong too. Maybe 10 more years, or 100 years, or 1,000 years? Amon doesn't plan to live a short life like a human. His obsession with absoluteness won't allow that. This meant he still has a chance to learn this. Nothing is impossible. This was a saying in his previous world, but the statement is true in this world more. I need to make Raki train it. Maybe she can unlock it too. Shaking his head while laughing jokingly, Amon then focused on the fight, not before bringing some more snacks from a nearby island, of course. Bam! 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 A fight was taking place between Jack and Rio, who has transformed into a dragon. His 4 wings were attacking Jack without giving him any time to dodge, and since all of the wings were spiky, they were enough to immobilize his defense. Ah! Jack was slammed with the dragon's tail and thrown a few meters away. He was slammed to the ground but managed to get up not so long after. What is your identity? Jack was curious as he asked Rio. I just want to fight you. I don't hold any malice towards you, Rio replied with what Amon taught him. Also, I am quite angry you killed one of my fellow dragon fruit users. Huh? You mean that other dragon guy? Jack asked as he got up straight on his feet. His eyes suddenly went cold. So you want revenge? Rio noticed it and laughed. Not really, it's nothing serious. I am just angry you killed another dragonkin such as me. If he lived, we could have trained together. Rio used some of his made-up lines. Now you should satisfy my battle lust. After a short silence, Jack laughed too. He didn't hate this man anymore. He decided. All right, I will give you a fight, but you have to promise if you lose, you need to join the Beast's pirates. How does that sound like? Rio the dragon grinned. Seems fair enough. Saying this, he rushed towards Jack. This time, Jack again started to take advantage of his experience and familiarity with his Zoan form. Even though Rio was a good fighter, which granted him the power to last long against Jack, now the tables had turned. Amon grinned lightly. He is good. He changed the atmosphere around Jack with just some words. This was fascinating. Let's wait until he gets defeated. He might have a plan already. Bam! This time around, Jack was more aggressive. He was very vigorous and easily pinned Rio towards the losing side. Until now, he might have had the upper hand because of his Zoan being overall more powerful than Jack's. But now, it all came down to experience. After all, Rio in his human form was somewhat weaker than a scabbard of Odin, and Jack could thrash 2 of them without much difficulty. Although Rio was many times stronger now, he didn't have enough experience to control that strength. Bam! Okay. Leaving another hit in Rio, the gasping Jack opened his mouth. Since you are going to join, why not stop here? It's clear I am the winner. Rio nodded, albeit barely. He was breathing heavier than Jack. I understand. Saying this, Rio started to transform back. His 7.7 feet small stature made Jack amused as he also transformed back. But I have a request. Think of this as a gift for a newbie. Rio demanded. Jack nodded after a brief silence of surprise. Leave the Spade Pirates be. A frown appeared on Jack's large face. Impossible. Their captain is too dangerous. A short silence later, Rio chuckled. Why? I think you are very strong. Why are you scared of them? Jack was infuriated. Watch what you say, I might change my mind. Understanding provoking him won't work. Rio made a change of plans. Okay, I'm sorry, but it's a request. I have pride as a fellow dragon fruit user. Rio continued. As you have already perceived, my fighting style is quite lacking, meaning I am a newbie with the fruit. Jack sat down on the ground. He was tired. Yes, that should be the case, or I would have to use my full power. Yes, that's what I was saying, Rio stated. From where I am from, we see these types of things as spiritual connections. I believe me and that man eating the fruit around the same time must have a reason, so I want his companion to leave. It's like seeing your little brother's friends. I just don't want them to die. It's a selfish request. Obviously, Jack was still against it. You have a strange view of things. People with wings are strange even if the wings are white other than the black that I am familiar with, Jack commented. He glanced at Ace. He was barely breathing. His companions were the same. They would probably disband the crew. It's fine, I guess. Jack was dumb. He wasn't good at making decisions, so it was clear he would listen to this promising newbie. He might become one of that groups with 6 promising talents. This wish, I will grant it. Besides, for a person with a severe inferior complex like him, granting such a request made him feel good about himself. Rio smiled. Thank you. I will be loyal to the Beasts, Pirates, and Kaido to you as well. His smile widened. Jack-sama. Jack noticed how he didn't refer to Kaido as Kaido-sama, but referred to him like that. He felt proud. Jack was gone. Ace was still unconscious. Rio managed to deliver a small piece of paper with some words on it, delivered by a Birkin of his crew. After reading the paper, the Spade Pirates were silently laying or sitting on the ground before an unknown person's footsteps made them raise their head. He was wearing a face mask and a black shiny jacket reaching his knees. He had his hands in the pockets of his jacket. Just like Deuce, he had blue shoulder-length hair. The Spade Pirates recognized him. Even without the small message left by Rio, they heard enough of him from Deuce to know who this was. Hello? The man's voice was gruff and cold, almost as if he was an old man, but his partially visible skin made that thought vanish. You probably know already. I am a fool, Mr. Fool. It was an alias of Amon. I hate hiding like a rat, but Kaido is my biggest problem to date.